friends, welcome back to the channel. So here we are continuing on with our bookshelf tour, and I wanted to show you my point horror collection, which is, as you can see, mostly on this shelf here. So we also have some standalone YA horror as well on this shelf, and since it's all together, I just thought I would show you the entire thing because it does really relate to one another. So this shelf is up a little bit high, so we'll see how this goes. So like I said, all of my point horror, point thrillers, and some standalone YA horror. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. Please make sure, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button below and the bell for notification so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. Okay. So I've moved my little pumpkin out of the way, and I've got Nero here. He's going to help me. This is my little skull, Nero. So if you haven't been on the channel before, yes, I do name all of my skulls, and I love all of them equally. So a little bit crazy, but that's just me. All right. So starting at the beginning here, and most of these are in alphabetical order by the author's last name. So starting off with A. Bates, we have Party Line. So this is a point horror. This book is not in great condition. As you can see, there's a little bit of a tear here, and there's a little bit of wear around the edges. Let's just see if it doesn't have any writing on the inside, so that's good. So I went ahead and bought this copy, number one, because it was super cheap. I think I paid $2.75 for this copy, and this is one that's a little bit hard to find in my area. So I was just happy to have a copy of this one, and it says, "Your next phone call could be your last." So I haven't read this book before. I've heard some kind of mixed reviews on this one. I've heard it's not so great, but the cheesier the better when it comes to our 80s and 90s horror. So next up, from Linda Cargill, we have The Surfer, and this one I got, I think, in a grab bag from Abominable Book Box. If you guys have never heard of Abominable Book Box before, go check them out. They are a horror-themed book box from the UK. I don't have my subscription anymore, but every now and again they do these grab bags where they'll have some kids and YA horror thrown in there. So I got this one, and I think there were a couple of Goosebumps in there as well. So this one says, "Surf's Up, You're Dead." And then next up we have a Caroline B. Cooney, very, very well-known author in the YA horror genre during the 80s and 90s. So we have Emergency Room, where there's only seconds between life and death. So one thing that I love about the 80s and 90s horror, the YA horror, is this wonderful embossed lettering on the front. And this one is in this really, really awesome red color. For some reason, I just love the red lettering. And we have an EKG up here, and all of that is embossed. You just can't beat the covers from the 80s and 90s, that's for sure. So continuing with Caroline B. Cooney, we have Fatality, and this one doesn't have anything on the front here. It doesn't have any sort of little blurb, but I really, really do like this cover on this book. This one is in great condition, even though you can see a little bit of wear on the edge there, on the outer edge. It's still really, really shiny, and I really like the cover on this one as well. I believe this was a mysterious accident, and the woman is trying to figure out who killed her father. Let's just see. It says, "Someone else knows what happened that weekend. Someone who will do anything to keep her quiet." So seems to be a murder mystery going on there. Very, very much the same way as a lot of Caroline B. Cooney's books. And here we have another one. This one's called The Fire. And it says, "It's a stairway to death." So this one is part, I think, of a mini series within the Point collection. There's The Fire, and I believe there's one that comes before this one. So I have to keep an eye out for the other books in this little mini series before I read this one. But I love the font on the front of this cover. Isn't that fantastic? So I think this one is mysterious fires that are being set. And lots of Caroline B. Cooney. So we have Hush Little Baby, Don't Say a Word. This one's a creepy little cover. You can see the baby's hands coming up out of the little bassinet or car seat there. So that's always wonderfully creepy. And then continuing with the Caroline B. Cooney, we have Twins. So this one has like a good twin, evil twin kind of story. Again, there's no blurb on the front of the book here, but this one again is in fantastic condition. Just a tiny bit of wear and tear on the outside, but no major creases. So love that. And another Caroline B. Cooney, we have The Return of the Vampire. So this one is about a young girl who is kind of a nerd, kind of an outcast, and she just wants to make friends, and she wants to have the good-looking boyfriend and be popular and the whole thing. So she makes a deal with a vampire who promises to make all of her dreams come true. So obviously this is the continuation of a story, so I have to get the other one as well. And it says, this time he wants more. So of course, as soon as you make a deal with a demonic creature, they're going to turn it around on you. So it's a be careful what you wish for kind of story. Sorry guys, these are kind of falling over a little bit because I moved Nero. So it's just, there we go. Fix that a little. Okay, so next up with Caroline B. Cooney, we have Wanted. This one is in fantastic condition, almost no wear and tear. It looks like I just went into Indigo and bought it. So again, no blurb on the outside, but this kind of gives me the vibes of that urban legend where the woman is looking in her rearview mirror and somebody behind her has their high beams on, and it turns out that there's somebody in the back seat. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this. That's not the story, but as soon as I see this cover, that's what I think about. And next up from Caroline B. Cooney, we have Freeze Tag. So it says on the bottom, tag, you're dead. So I love, again, the font on the cover here, and it has this wonderful silver color to the main title. And this is a great cover. So I've heard that this is not the most fantastic book in the world, but we'll make that judgment once we read it. A lot of these point horrors I haven't really read. Point horror wasn't really, like some of them I read when I was younger, but I was really into Christopher Pike, R.L. Stine, and Anne Rice at the time. So a lot of these are going to be new to me. So here we have Night School, again by Caroline B. Cooney, and isn't that a fantastic cover? Just look at that. And this book, again, looks almost brand new. And Marissa, if you're watching, I got so many books from you. Marissa is the owner of Spooky Syllables. I'll have her shop linked down below. I get a lot of my vintage horror from her. She has a fantastic shop, and it's free shipping within Canada, and I believe within the United States it's free shipping over $35. So go check out Marissa's shop. And next, I'm really excited to read this one. I don't know, it seems like a Valentine's Day kind of horror to me. So we have The Perfume, The Sweet Smell of Evil. So I love this cover. So again, the main title is all embossed, and it has that wonderful silver sort of foiling on it. It's just fantastic. I love the cover of this book. The point horrors, I have to say, have some of my favorite covers of all time. So next up, Caroline B. Cooney, we have The Stranger. He's not like all the other guys. And this one is a fantastic cover as well. Pretty much the entire thing is embossed, and the title as well. So fantastic cover on that one. Looks super spooky. And now we're moving into a new author. So we have Diane Ho. And the first one in my collection from her is The Fever. When you play with fever, you might get burned. So another medical horror. I really do enjoy the medical horror ones. I used to work as a paramedic for a while, so I do enjoy the kind of medical horror genre or subgenre. So next, moving on to Carol Ellis. So we have Camp Fear, and love the font on this particular cover. It has all of those summer vibes. So it says, "Where your worst fears hide." So this one is a fantastic book to read during the summer. I really hate summer, so I don't really want to be reading summertime books most of the time, but maybe I'll pick this one up next year. Oh, and it looks like I changed my consistency here. So we're back to Caroline B. Cooney. So we have The Cheerleader, and it says, "She would do anything to be popular." So this one, I believe, might be one of the books in that Return of the Vampire mini-series that I showed before. So that's fantastic. I don't know why I don't have the two of those together. It looks like this shelf needs a little bit of organization, but that's okay. So next up, completely different author here. So this is the only one I have from her. This is Francesca Jeffries, Sweet 16. So if you look at her face on this cover, this is totally spooky. And it says she's got one wish: to stay alive. So fantastic. All of this is embossed, of course. And again, you have that wonderful silver lettering. And here we have one from Elizabeth Moore. So I hadn't heard of this author before I even bought this book. It is part of the Point Thrillers, or the Scholastic Thrillers, I should say. So this is the first book in the Dark Moon mini-series, Kiss of Death. So again, never even heard of this author before, but I love the condition of this book. And it says, "Haunting beauty, terrifying power." So I think this might be a vampire book. I'm starting to get really in the mood for vampire stuff recently. I don't know what's going on there. So here we have a Christopher Pike. Now, I know I already did my Christopher Pike shelf, but this one was within the Scholastic Thrillers, you know, with the stamp on the side. So since it was part of that collection, I kept it with those books instead of keeping it with my Christopher Pike. So this is Slumber Party. This is one of his first kind of horror, YA horror books that he wrote. And I've heard it's not the greatest story, but Christopher Pike, as you guys know, is my favorite author. So really excited to read this one. And it says, "It was 8 years later, and it was happening again." So that sounds good to me. And anything with slumber parties, of course, brings me right back to my childhood. So moving on to some Sinclair Smith. So first we have Amnesia. And I don't know if it's picking up on the camera very well there, but the title here is not only the silver embossed lettering, but it's also sparkly. So that was a nice change just from the regular silver. And it says, "What you don't remember can kill you." So she looks absolutely terrified. I think you can see a little bit of that silver sparkly lettering. Just beautiful. I love the cover of that one. And next up from Sinclair Smith, we have Dream Date. And this one, unfortunately, is not embossed. The book itself is in great condition, but this was when they started getting away from doing the, you know, nice little extras on the covers. So this one says, "Sweet dreams and rest in peace." So let's just see when this one was published. So this one was 1993. It was still fairly early, so I'm surprised it doesn't have the embossed lettering on there. But I guess that stuff just costs a lot of money. So next, I think this is my last Sinclair Smith. So this is Let Me Tell You How I Died. And I think this is probably one of my favorites in the entire Scholastic Point Horror collection. And it says on the bottom there, "It was her own handwriting in a dead girl's diary." And I just love the skeleton hand on the front of this. I just have something with skeletons and skulls. I just love it. It just adds a little bit something extra. Next, moving on to Barbara Steiner. So we have The Mummy, and it says Back from the Dead. So this is wonderfully embossed on the front here. Not in great condition. We have the covers kind of torn a little bit, but still really excited to have this as part of the collection. And next, moving on to Richie Tankersley Cusick. This is the Lifeguard, and this one is a very popular one, so I see this in a lot of people's collections. And it says, don't call for help, he may just kill you. And carrying on with Cusick, so we have Teacher's Pet. I love the cover on this one. There's just something about when it has those little extra touches in there with the extra font work, and I really like the ones with the red foiling, and I like the ones with the silver foiling. So we have Look What the Cat Dragged In, and it has kind of a, I'm not sure if this is the shadow or the actual cat, but very spooky cover. I love that one. And next, moving back to Carol Ellis. So we have My Secret Admirer, and it says he was crazy about Jenny, crazy enough to kill her. So sounds like a stalker story there. Like I said, I haven't read a whole lot of the point horrors, so I'm so excited to have a whole shelf of books that I can just read from one end to the other, and it's completely new stories to me. So we have D.E. Atkins. I think this is the first one we've seen from them. So we have a crazy looking bride on the front. It's called The Bride, Till Death Do You Part. And very spooky cover. Love that. And another D.E. Atkins. We have The Ripper. Another great cover with this red embossed lettering. And it says, don't look behind you. And I do apologize if there's a lot of cutaways in this video. I'm having some trouble with my allergies today, and I've got a little bit of a cough. So I'm just going to move you guys over a little bit here. So I just put Nero back in his place, holding up all of the books. All right. Okay, so continuing on, back to Diane Ho, we have The Invitation, A Party Like No Other. So it says on the front here, RSVP or die. And again, this is one of my favorite covers. Very simple, but effective with the blood drips on the lettering. And then another Diane Ho. So this is the first book in, or it's not the first book, but it's the only book that I have in the Med Center series. So this is Virus. And this is based on, I believe, a bunch of kind of teenage high school kids that are volunteering or they work at the local hospital, and there's all kinds of spooky things going on at the local hospital. So again, I really love the medical horror subgenre, so this one is right up my alley. So I'm going to skip over a couple of these because there's a couple of R.L. Stine, and I'm doing a completely separate R.L. Stine video. That's everything that I have from him that is not that is not Fear Street and not Goosebumps. So I'm just going to skip over those ones and go right on to Lois Duncan. Lois Duncan, of course, is so beloved. So this is Gallows Hill, and this one specifically sounds really good to me, of course, because it has to do with witches and all of those things. So it says on the bottom, they don't burn witches anymore, do they? And just the silhouette of three teenagers here. So very simple cover. And I've heard the book itself is fantastic. So another Lois Duncan here, we have Summer of Fear, so another summertime horror. And you can see there's some photo developing going on there with a skull. So again, very effective cover. And Lois Duncan, of course, is the author of I Know What You Did Last Summer. Still haven't read it. I've seen the movie, of course, 1,000 times, and the book is sitting on my Kindle waiting to be read. So skipping over a couple more R.L. Stine, and we're going to go right to this one. So this is Ghost Abbey by Robert Westall. So this is a point horror, and it says there's no place like home. except when it's trying to kill you. And again, I love the cover on this book. It's so pretty. So you have this sprawling estate, of course, with a, you know, a pillar and a gargoyle and the whole thing. It just has all of the spooky vibes. And you guys know how I feel about haunted house stories. They're my absolute favorite. All right, next up we have The Body in the Basement by Nora McClintock. So this one, I believe, is kind of a murder mystery, and she has to figure out who the person was that actually killed her mother, that they found the body in the basement. Haven't read this one, so really super excited to have this one for the collection. And it's not one that I've seen around a whole lot, so super, super excited to have that. And next we have Just Pretend. So this is J.V. Luton. So this is the only one in the collection that I have by this author. It says on the front, it's not make-believe. And as we can see here, so there's a little creepy doll and a door that has like a phone that's been slammed through it. So lots and lots going on in this cover. We've got a full moon here on the outside. So really, really super spooky. It's very simple, but very effective. And we have that wonderful red embossed lettering. It's not foiled, but still that beautiful red embossed lettering. This book, again, is in not great condition. There's a huge crease going down the front, and part of the cover is ripped, and you know, it's dog-eared and the whole thing. But this is one that I haven't seen around a whole lot, so super, super excited to have that one. And two more, so I'm going to skip over one. And we're going to go to this last Carol Ellis. So this is a point book. We have The Window. This is a very popular point horror book. And it says, she's seen the killer and the killer has seen her. So this is one of those, you know, girl looks out the window and sees something that she's not supposed to see. And so starts all of the spookiness. And you can see, hopefully you guys can see that there. In that icicle, there's a little bit of a face going on. So again, super, super effective cover. And I love, of course, the silver lettering on there. And the last one, so I got this one as a gift, and this is 13. So this is was put out by Point, and it has all of your favorite Point authors here. So we have 13 short stories by 13 Masters of Horror: D.E. Athkins, A. Bates, J. Bennett, Caroline B. Cooney, Carol Ellis, Diane Ho, Lael Litke, Christopher Pike, Sinclair Smith, J.B. Stamper, R.L. Stein, Ellen Emerson White, and Patricia Windsor. And of course, Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein have their names the biggest there because they're the two most famous point horror authors. So haven't read this one yet. It's in pretty good condition. It's just a little bit of a crease here on the side, but it looks, overall it looks great. So super, super happy to have that one. Maybe we'll get to that one before the end of the year, because I haven't read a whole lot of anthologies this year. So this one might be a good one to throw in before the end of December. So there you guys go. That is my point horror slash scholastic thriller shelf. So tons and tons of 80s and 90s YA horror. It is my favorite genre, and I'm so, so happy to have these books in my collection. Some of them are my favorite covers, and I love back then when they put the extra little bit of love into the covers. And of course, the ones that we didn't go over by R.L. Stein, I will be putting in a completely separate video. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please, if you did, give me a thumbs up and leave me a question or a comment down below, because you know I love chatting with you guys. But until next time, stay spooky, everybody. Bye.